Hello, wonderful people. Right, I have another healing the trauma video. Remember, I'm never trying to trauma dump on you guys, but this is about anybody who also suffered with like this dual identity, like first generation stuff. I think because this is a very modern problem and it's not talked about a lot. I say, because there's a lot of people like me that are first generation, right? Like children of immigrants, and I think we have a very, very unique experience that's not talked about. Very unique challenges, negative beliefs that isn't it's not talked about a lot. So I want to tell my story and how I healed it. And of course, healing journey, everything is still a process, but I have made great strides because there was a lot of suffering with my identity, a lot of suffering. Okay. So, like I've told you guys, Polish American, which for some people doesn't make sense. Like, oh, American Polish, maybe. But no, I'm a dual citizen, right? Both my parents are Polish, and I always said, I'm Polish. Right? Like just growing up, I said, like, what are you? I'm Polish. I think in America it's something normal. You don't say even like people that have like they're, yeah, my grandpa is German and they've never been to Germany. They're like, yeah, I'm German. It's not the case for me. I think like when you're both your parents, first generation, they raise you entirely differently. Of course they do, because they had a whole different like my parents, they grew up in socialist Poland. You don't think that has anything? You don't think that affected me, man? But of course, they also they were in the States for quite a while before they had me, so I think that also had an effect. But still, you can't just erase the Polishness from somebody. um, okay. Even like when I was born, I was like in since I was born in the suburbs of Chicago. I actually there's this Polish newspaper and they wrote about us because my mom I think worked at the newspaper or something and they said, oh, and it was in Polish, right? And we actually still have that newspaper about the birth of my brother and I. Um, Also, like I mentioned to you guys, I went to Polish school. This is such a unique experience. Like, come on, think about it. Like, I didn't know anybody that went like any other Americans that went to Polish school. Do you think Americans go to Polish school? You know what I mean? Um, like I told you guys, like Saturdays from 9 to 12, just having normal lessons. Like we had Polish history. I think maybe we even had math. I don't remember. We had dyktando, which is like you have to spell words in Polish, but it was so ineffective. It was for I think um, like maybe people fresh off the boat or I well basically if you finish Polish school you can write your matura, which is like I guess kind of like the ACT or SAT, something like that, the American equivalent. That you go to, based on that score, you go to college, whatever. But I'm like, but we didn't speak the language. I told you I had a very traumatizing experience with like mama trying to sit us down, teaching us Polish. Like we had to read out loud, and then if we weren't focused, she would scream, yell at us. I think she even like slammed on the table. Very traumatizing, right? We were like really young, like 7, 8, 9. And this Polish school, it was like torture for me, man. It was torture. Like normal kids are playing, watching Saturday cartoons, eating cereal. I had to fucking go to this Polish. I had to go to a school where I didn't know the language. I felt awful because there was a group of kids and there was different levels. Like the girls actually spoke a little bit of Polish. I don't remember their level, but they could at least speak it. The boys were just like me. They also just didn't understand. It was just like upside down and backwards, man. Upside down and backwards. And I don't honestly, I don't understand. And because my parents really didn't care about how we felt, we were just forced to go until I think seventh grade. I don't honestly, I maybe they, mama and just gave up. There's no point in it. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, at one point, I am grateful for it because it kind of solidified this Polish identity inside of me. Because if I didn't go, but on the other side, I'm like, it was so ineffective. Like there was never questioning why. Why are you going to this school? Right? If you want to teach if your kid doesn't know the language, you know, go to like. But at the same time, there weren't a lot of programs like that. Well, my mom said there was actually, because I remember I went to like you could say a lower level where they were trying to teach the basics, and I remember feeling really good about it. Like there was like I learned swine, elephant, and I was like, oh, I'm learning words like elephant. That's so cool. And then for some reason, they weren't paying the teacher well enough, and she left, so that program was canceled. See, I almost feel like the universe was co-inspiring against me. I don't know. I don't know. Um, and I think honestly, if if let's say I tap into financial abundance, I would love to maybe open my own Polish school that is like to teach the language, because like language is so important for identity, man. It's so important for identity. Like I felt like, how can I be Polish if I don't even speak the language? But I understood it. That's so crazy. I understood it because my parents would speak to us, or at least mostly mama, tata sometimes. But it was still like subconsciously I would understand. I know so many of us, maybe first gens, we understand the language, but we don't speak it, and it's such a pain. It's such a hard pain to tell people that have never gone through it. It's really awful. Especially like when Babsha would visit us, and she would like say stuff like, "Oh, your room is so dirty," da, 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 da." And I wouldn't have the words to like defend myself because I couldn't speak the language yet. Also, like, it's so disempowering. It's such a disempowering feeling. Like I feel like I wanted so badly to speak it. I wanted to, but I didn't have the tools, or I didn't know how to even learn a language. Especially like in school, they have this upside down backwards way of like teaching you a language where you're just learning grammar all the time. You're not trying to practice speaking or stuff. It's or honestly listening. Like I didn't understand how important like passive like listening is very important, right? um okay, but I'm getting ahead of myself. And also I was just brought up like unconsciously Polish. Like when I say unconsciously, like we had traditions now, like since I've been living in Poland and I know more and more about the culture and the traditions. uh like we had Vigilia and all that stuff, like Christmas Eve. But we all there's like this in Poland. There's Mikołajki, which is I think like the 7th of December, like early December. Kids get gifts in their stockings, and we'd get it. And there was never explained why we do it, what it is. It's just something we did, and that was never spoken about. Okay. Also, I had like some trauma identified with being Polish. So I remember when we were playing basketball. Some guy. This is weird. It's such a weird situation, but this guy, um, like this teenager, he was just watching us play basketball, and he's like, "Hey, bro, where are you from? Like, are you a Mexican or whatever?" I'm like, "No, I'm Polish." And he's like, "Hey, Polak, 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 Polak," and you know, um, it hurt, right? Because like in America, like Polak means like you're, someone's stupid, right? Because for which I really is such a shameful way of debasing a culture, is like calling them fucking stupid, like all these Polish jokes and stuff, and like, oh, you dumb Polak, man. And I felt it, man. I'm not what I felt insulted, man. I felt hurt, right? Um, yeah, so that's the thing. And also, summer camps. We were forced to, forced, well, okay. Well, we were sent to summer camps in Poland. Like I said, not knowing the language. I think maybe it was like a Polish American one. See, I have no idea. Maybe I should ask sometime. But I remember one camp, it was like mostly 100% Polish. And I think there was another maybe Polish American, or a Polish French guy too. But everyone was at least a communicative level of speaking Polish, and we weren't, and we were ostracized. Also, we were, like I said, quite chubby, and they called us pączki, like the other kids. Pączki is like the Polish donut, and it hurts, And the only thing is though, because I was there for like I think like a month and a half or something. We were there for a month and a half, and when I came back, I was actually speaking like a little bit. I was like I don't know, A2 level, maybe A1 plus, like enough to like say something. And my parents were like, "Whoa, wow, you guys can learn, wow!" And then gave up, and then we stopped learning. Okay. Um, oh, and this is the like what I said about emotional neglect, because I feel like my soul And I think every soul out here needs so much nourishment, so much encouragement, right? Because this world, it can be super negative, and like the world in my house is very negative as well, from time to time. I don't know how many percentage, but whatever. What I wrote down was because my parents, especially, well, I'd say both of them, but mostly Tata would like kind of shame us, not shame us, but like insult us or insult me, I should say, because I don't know what Zatkiel went through. But when I tried learning Polish, I had the I had this book like Polish in 4 weeks or something. Was so cool, like looking at the grammar, understanding different forms. I didn't know there's like the V form, all this stuff. But anyway, so I would try speaking, and like I said, like I remember I said something. Moje nogi bolą. I don't even know what maybe I said it wrong, but Tata is like, oh, nogi bolą, nogi bolą, nogi bolą, like like mocking my accent. One time I used like this wrong grammar form. In Polish we have wołać, which is like, hey there. I was like, tato, tato, like, hey, tato. And I called them one time, and I was like, hey, tato, daj telefon do mamo, which is doesn't make any sense. And then Tata's like, oh, tata, mamo, mamo, mamo. It's like making fun of me, man. Man, it fucking sucks. Um, also, like when I tried like telling a sentence in Polish, and like my words were all fumbled, and my mom was like, "Oh, you should read this book on how to speak better." Oh my lord! Like effort was never really rewarded. Not really. If it was, I would be talking about it. But effort was never rewarded. So I did have this kind of like learned helplessness mentality that I had to really overcome, guys. Um, okay, and also like the vitriol. Also, my parents also got flack about like why don't your kids speak Polish and all this, but also they would blame us. Even to this day, they're like, "Oh, you guys didn't want to speak Polish at home. You would run away from me when we'd speak Polish. It's your fault." Well, maybe if you made it into a nice environment, I wouldn't have reacted. Like if you didn't say "kurwa skup się" during the lesson, I wouldn't be traumatized. I wouldn't be afraid of learning the language, right? Because there was positive moments, like they would show us cartoons, like dubbed in Polish, like Asterix i Obelix, Reksho, different like cartoons, Bolik Lolek. I think Bolik Lolek, there's not a speaking though, but whatever. They would show us Polish cartoons. Asterix i Obelix. I didn't know. I thought Asterix i Obelix was a Polish cartoon, and I didn't know it was like actually French or Belgian. So, but still, it's a very European thing. And I remember liking watching those films and stuff. It was good, you know. And I didn't equate in my head that learning languages can be fun and rewarding. I always thought this is something arduous and exhausting, man. It sucks, man. I'm just saying there's a different way. There's a different way. Um, and what the shift started that so when we were 18, Zadkiel and I really wanted to learn Polish, and Zadkiel found this. Actually, we went to Polish lessons in Polonikum. Not well, okay. First in our community college, there was like we had Polish lessons, and we actually like compared to people that were just starting the language. We were like, oh wow, we have actually a base of knowledge. We're like way better than these total beginners. And the teacher was Polish, of course, and she said, "Oh, you know what, guys? There's this great course Polonikum in Warsaw. It's a very intensive language course. Sign up, go for the summer." And we did. To be honest, it was okay. There's quite shame that we got put in like the lowest group because you had to take like a placement test, and both of us we got A1, which is the lowest level, and we're like, oh no, A1, and we're Polish. Oh. And even that seemed a little bit too I guess easy because like we had the subconscious knowledge, not the active knowledge. So I asked to be moved to A2, but still, it's like this boring classroom environment, little speaking practice. I'm like, how can you learn a language without freaking practicing it, man? I know I'm saying freaking, not fucking, whatever. I'll swear when I want to. All right. But you know what I mean? Like it's I don't know, maybe that works for somebody, but for me, like I'm a kinesthetic learner. I need to practice, I need to make mistakes, but I need to be also encouraged when I make mistakes because I had this awful, awful Polish teacher, I'll tell you guys. Um Because when we moved here, I took intensive lessons, like 3 hour a day lessons, because I wasn't studying. I was like, make the most of your time, right? Um, I had a positive experience, but then with one teacher, but then I was like, okay, I need to find something cheaper, a different time. I found this other school, and this lady, it was okay in the beginning, but still emotionally abusive. Not emotionally abusive, well, emotionally neglectful. What I mean, like, we had a conversation, and I made a mistake. I was like, I said, like I have a dog, and I said, "Mam pies." It's like instead of like "Mam psa," and she's like, she corrected me with like "psa," like I'm exaggerating just a little bit, like like she like made me feel awful that I made a mistake. Fuck that nonsense. I would never treat my I never. I teach English. I never treat my students like that. I just gently correct them. This is what the course teaches. Gentle correction. Oh my gosh. And I was afraid of making mistakes so long. I'm still like, I wish I would speak Polish perfectly, but it is what it is. I think it's quite good, but still, like Lord in His mercy, like oh my gosh. Okay, and then also, I would go to these language exchanges, and the people would like want to speak with English with me, of course, but like I had this really weird interaction that this guy's like, "Oh, you can speak to me in Polish. I'll speak to you back in English." And I felt like this inner resistance, like, "Why? Like, no, that's not fair." But I didn't say it because I didn't have this self advocacy, man, and I just suffered. God damn. Um, I'll- it's so weird, guys. Like I know maybe people won't relate, but it's just about also being seen. Like I said, most of my life I felt like unseen, unheard. Um, I remember when I started giving out private lessons in Polish, we say korki, no, korepetycja. I had this one lady, and we actually like after our English lessons, we'd like talk in Polish, and like I'd talk about it, and she's like, um, "Jesteś Amerykaninem." Like, fuck, man, that fucking hurts. I like, you're American. I just like, my God. Okay, I understand. It might seem weird. It might seem weird, but the pain in my heart, it was real. It was real back then. Like, not to be seen as Polish when like I said all my life I'm Polish, and just not being accepted. Now I accept myself as Polish American because I have a very unique experience, right? That's what makes me, you know, a unique person. Also, I talked a little bit about um, there's this one girl that my university gym class, like I tried talking to her and I was like fumbling around my words. She's like, "Oh, nie mówisz po polsku. You don't speak Polish," which my Polish was at least B1. Like Jesus Christ, like, and she didn't speak English. She didn't speak English. It's like a lot of projection, and I took it. I took that emotional abuse. I didn't say like, "Hey, oh, you want to switch to English, maybe?" It's just like why insult somebody like that? Like imagine somebody in America goes up to you, they're trying to, they're from China or something, they're speaking English. Like, "Oh, you don't speak English. You don't speak English." It's so insulting, man. Okay. Also, I remember I was practicing the script I got because I also did a play in Polish one time. Um, and I was practicing the script outside. I was waiting, or I was in the mall waiting for something, and I was just practicing the script out loud. And then this lady sitting next to me was trying to talk to me. It was like, "Oh, do you have a play?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, something, something." And then she's like, "Oh, yes, this is Ukraine. Like, are you Ukrainian?" I'm like, "No, I'm from the States." Like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know. It's I understand that, but like it was also like hurtful. Like it's because I had such a unrealistic standard that I had to speak perfectly, right? Because I'm Polish, so I have to speak perfectly for a language that was never taught to me. You know, man, it sucks. It sucks. I had this such a unrealistic standard, man. I'm supposed to speak perfectly. Like, come on, man. And whenever I told my parents about it, they were like, "Oh, you'll get over it. You'll get over it eventually. You'll get over it." Like, but they never said, "How will I get over it?" Because all of it was like a lack of love towards myself. Like I said, like we could use any reason, uh, to abandon ourselves. There's one reason I used to abandon myself. It's like, "Oh, they don't think I'm Polish." I don't give a fuck now, but I did. Of course I did, because my I was looking for the external world. Like, do you think my Polish is good? Do you think my Polish is good? Like, I don't get like I'm biasing this with love and compassion. I know I'm making fun of myself, but you know, it's such a unique thing, man. Um, Also, like when I went to this god awful acting school, like think like the toxic environment I put myself in, man. Like everyone was making fun of me of my accent. I was there. I was living in Poland for 2 years. My Polish was like from like zero to communicative. That's a fucking achievement, man. That's a fucking achievement. And like yeah, so I had an accent. Who gives a fuck, man? Of course, in Poland, especially with which is totally unique because in America, like it's kind of normal. You can actors even speak with accents if they're from somewhere else. But here, it's like the vymova is like the pronunciation is so important, right? And they're like, oh, like you'll never make it in the industry or whatever. Like I'm not because whatever. But they'll make fun of me. Even they didn't speak English that well. Like they make fun of me, like like even mocking my voice and shit. My God, man. And I took it because I had such a low self-concept of myself, so low, this lack of love I had within myself, man. I don't want to wish it to anybody, man. um yeah, and putting myself in that toxic environment, the smoke, the drinking, making fun of me because I thought I deserved it at some level. I know I thought I deserved it, and if you're going through something like that, you don't deserve it. You are wonderful, wonderful, loving piece of as perfect as God created you. Okay, stumbling over my words because it's so emotional. You are as perfect as God created you, wholly lovable and wholly loving. That is who you are, your divine truth, man. You deserve so much more than putting yourself in a toxic environment. You deserve so much more, right? Like encouragement, man, encouragement. If you're not being encouraged, like I wasn't being encouraged, we got to get out of there because we got to fight for ourselves. Like, imagine if I had like a loving voice, people surrounding me. I'm not saying like external validation, but just still, it's nice, right? Like, because at one time, I remember this conversation. I talked to somebody new, and he's like, "Oh, can you say Szczecin?" And like I did, and he was like, "Oh, wow, wow, that's amazing." I don't know how. I think did I pronounce it well? I think so. Um, and it was good. It was a good feeling. I'm not saying like yes, any external validation will be a slave, but still, it's like we don't need this fucking constant negative bullshit, man. Um, and think about because it was so ostracizing because obviously I was the only foreigner there. There's no like someone like from America in a Polish acting school. No, right? I felt so alone and so alien, man, because I felt like no one understood me. And I know there must be some brothers and sisters out there that understand my pain. I think so. I hope so. If not, well, I'm speaking my truth, and that's why I have this channel named Kahir Onasi, Kahir, because one of the best learning experience I had was actually reading Wiedźmin, The Witcher, in Polish. And people are telling me, "Oh, it's too hard. Even someone from Poland, it's hard because it's written kind of like in old timey language, like in like old. They use like older words, like from medieval times, or whatever. But I listened to it. I had like audiobook, and I listened and read. It was a very enjoyable experience. And there's this one part in the book where Kahir, that someone calls him, he's like you're a Nilfgaardian because he's from Nilfgaard. He's like, I'm not Nilfgaardian. I can't remember, but because I think his mother is like from a different part. So he also he didn't identify being the Nilfgaardian. He serves the army and stuff. And I was like, wow, a character that like also struggles with his identity. Wow. So it's been a while since I read the books, but so it's not really so much. But I also like the look of the character too, like the winged helmet and all that. But anyway, and I really identified with a character from fiction, right? Really, I haven't really felt anything like that before, right? So that's why I'm here, right? Um, and I see others how they speak their truth, like Dave Zamariki, 50 was it 50 Napul, uh, you know, um, Joanna Krupa. They're all like Polish American. Especially I relate with Dave Zamariki, even though he's older than me, and he also grew up in. He was more like I would say fresh off the boat, Polish. I was more, like Like he had a different journey with Polish, with, being Polish than I did. But he like a lot of I read his book. I resonate. It resonated so much with me. I felt seen. That's the thing, and I love his work. I wish him so. He's such an inspiration, and he just made a YouTube channel because no one's talking about him. Such an amazing man. I actually met him in person, right? And just being seen. Being seen. There are like he talked about his story, and I felt seen. I felt like, wow, I'm not the only one dealing with this. And his book is a great picture. It's like him in like deep in water, and there's like the Statue of Liberty, and then I think like onions and stuff, or like the cross, like totally showing like he's in between Polish and American or something. You know what I mean? Um, and I used to say like I used to let people define me. Oh, you're no, you're American Polish. Or you're just American. Or um, like you're most like a half Polish. That fucking sends me because I'm not half Polish. I'm not half anything. I'm 200% of a person. I am Polish American. 100% Polish. 100% American. What are you gonna do about it? Sue me? um, and because especially like living in Poland for so long, like even sometimes words in Polish come faster than in English. I know that sounds, but that's how my parents say about also when they speak Polish and they put English words. I have like the opposite, and I also feel more comfortable when someone understands Polish. Like even in these videos, you'll say like I have some nuggets of Polish. Like I said, not saying my Polish is perfect, but it's way better than it ever was because also I had like a very more empowering mindset. I got an amazing Polish teacher on italki. We meet twice a week. I do it also on the treadmill, so I get my steps in. Um, and we just go over vocabulary that I watched on YouTube or Netflix, and we have a conversation. It's great, and I feel like I'm learning and growing, expanding the way that works for me. You know, so I hope this resonated with somebody. I don't know how much spirituality I got into it. I know I said perfect son of God, but yes, please remember this. Wherever you're going, like whatever you're going through life, man, there's someone that has a similar struggle that you're going through, right? We're never alone. We are never alone. I thought I would before I found out Dave's American, I thought I was like it was just my brother and I that were dealing with this, and I think a lot of other first gen people are dealing with this too, and more and more are speaking out. And this is my story, right? And remember, the Holy Spirit is always with you, right? No matter what the challenges are, whatever negativity, toxicity you're dealing with, Holy Spirit is asking you to find a way to get out, and you will find a way. You will find a way. You will find a way. All things are possible with God, man. All right. I hope you enjoyed that video. May the Holy Spirit light up your path wherever it takes you. All right. Take care.